Mahila just got out of Batman. The music was great. I thought the music they did a great job, but um, the story. I mean, nice Hush reference. They did put the Hush in there, which Hush was Riddler. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was okay, I guess. I mean, it was not another film. It was Batman. I paid for Batman. I saw Batman. At the end, they flooded the city. So I'll put spoiler alert in here. And I think they do that in one of the graphic novels. They flood the city, but I think that's like the whole that that ends up being like a whole big story itself. It's not like he's just rescuing people like the National Guard. I'm pretty sure they flood the city on Halloween, and then that's when like the Joker, Mister Freeze, Penguin, like they all start to attack Batman, and like using mind games on him, and all like not just a one on 10 fight, but like it would be like a Bruce Lee type setup almost, or like one thing would lead to another, and then like another one's involved. It wasn't like he was just in a war with them. It was more like they were messing with him. So they didn't do that, of course, but um yeah, the Riddler was all right. You know, Penguin was pretty cool, I guess. I mean, um they do mention the long Halloween. They mention it. And the beginning was done very well to kind of set up the whole thing, and the fighting was I wanted it to be like the reminiscent of the old blasters and the old '90s, but it was a little bit too slow for that. I think it's hard to say it was too slow, but it almost kind of was. And then a little bit too dark, of course. Like the camera, like the actual lighting was too dark. Um, yeah, the story. I mean, Jim Gordon has no protection. It's kind of like he's a superhero himself in this one. So that's okay, I guess, if you just want to make that work in your mind. Um, they go into the scary a little bit. A couple of times they go into the scary, and then they bring it back. But the way they bring it back, I didn't really like. It wasn't the fantastical of how Batman could be. How he really like owns the situation and covers himself and everyone around him. It was more like they just depended on the music and kind of the entertainment value of just Robert Pattinson fighting a little bit. And that's okay. It's hard to get it completely right. Um, but it was its own thing. Catwoman was pretty cool. Um, just kind of a new take on her. She had some fighting skills, man. I mean, she could really fight, and I was impressed with the Selena Kyle. Um, Falcone did a great job. The guy from Transformers did Falcone and didn't show his eyes the whole time. Um, that was kind of a different take on Falcone. I mean, um, he's not really a method actor, but for him to do this role, he really did a great job. That guy from Transformers and Mr. Deeds. Um, so like that was pretty cool to see him in that role. But then, of course, it still feels like soap opera, a little bit. It still feels like it's a daytime soap opera. Just what they kind of did with that. Um, yeah, Robert Pattinson, his Bruce Wayne wasn't like the TV show. I mean, they wanted to use the music from the TV show, but his Bruce Wayne just wasn't like that. I mean, no mention of Ra's al Ghul or the training or anything. I guess Alfred trained him in this one, and Alfred did a great job. The guy who played Gollum or Smeagol, um, and he's just a great actor, But he's gotten some bad parts. I think he's tried to diversify, but this was really something that he could dive into. But then why does he have a cane? Like that was kind of dumb for him to have a crutch was kind of stupid. I thought. Um, so yeah, like the Batman Hush touched on the whole family dynamic of how it was like a secret society, Freemasonry kind of. But this was all about this thing called renewal, and like you never really know what it is. It's some like fundraiser that Thomas Wayne started for like orphanages and stuff, and like in Gotham that are horrible orphanage situations, and it like they don't really go into it in depth. Like whatever it was, it must have been sinister, like of how it affected the Riddler so much. But like the what he described was kind of like, well, could it have been any worse than what it was without renewal? But I guess that it was worse with renewal. So um it kind of paints the picture that like Thomas Wayne was like against the kids or something. Like the whole image of Thomas Wayne is like shattered in this one. And you see him as painted the picture of a story from Falcone that he like helped Falcone, as a doctor. And like the way they present that is kind of off key. Like they present it when they're walking in somewhere. Which is okay, but like it was just kind of weird. They didn't go into the childhood of Bruce. I mean, you see the tension building within him whenever he's called out. He gets called out a few times, and each time he gets called out, he's also getting called out for things that like look like it could be him that people say, but it's just them being multitudes. Like it's just them, like everyone vibing the spirit of like waking up, but then it's also multitudes against him, like a little bit of an Isaiah 50 and 51. That like they're persecuting him a little bit with what they say, but then he's not reacting to it because he can't reveal who he is. Like, oh yeah, Batcave, like like Selena Kyle says, do you live in a cave? Like it's about Bruce, it's about the Waynes now, and Bruce just like takes it, but that like in the audience's mind, you're like, well, he does live in a cave, like she's right, like he's Batman. But there's a few moments like that where it's kind of like, okay, they're really catching on now. Like it's really building up that everyone knows it's him. Um, and a few times without the Batman reference, like something else, and he's just kind of. It's cool how they did it, kind of. Because it's not like they're not ganging up on him, but like in the it's in the multitude sense they are, as it says in Revelation 20. So yeah, I didn't even know it was Colin Farrell, man. I didn't even know. I was looking for him the whole time. I'm like, where's Colin Farrell? And then I thought at the end, I'm like, oh, I think, yeah, he was probably the Penguin or something, and did a little method acting or something. So, yeah, it was all right. The car I didn't really like. Um, I mean, yeah, like it, it was kind of like a souped up, you know, turbo engine car, and like it was kind of cool, but at the same time, I'm like, um, maybe just go with the one from the TV show. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, just do that next time. So yeah, like Gordon was pretty cool. I guess so, and um, I just thought maybe like do something with Gordon that is a little bit different is what they were shooting for. That's cool, like make him black, like no problem with that. Um, but at the same time, it's like, no, really thinking back, they couldn't really improve Gordon anymore. I guess like Gordon being that he doesn't have collateral damage and that he's operating like fully with Batman. It was cool. It was it was cool what they did with Gordon. It's just kind of like it's Felix, like it's Felix from James Bond, but uh, I don't know, like but he still did a great job. Um, I don't really have an issue with it. It's just kind of like, well, that's what they did here, and that's the way it is, and it's fine. But he did a really good job. So and then the Batman himself, the costume, everything was pretty cool. Um, yeah, it was. It was pretty cool, and he didn't really have the gadgets I thought he would have. Um, but that's okay. There's always next time. Uh, and then he did take flight. And it was the weirdest thing. Like his suit looked like something out of the Olympics. It was kind of like I don't know why they chose to do that. And then of course, like Robert had a knee thing where he like his parachute gets caught, and it was kind of crazy. Like you see him get hurt, but then you're thinking he shouldn't really be getting hurt like that. You know, um, like why is he getting hurt like it's Batman Begins? Why are you doing that when he's been mobbing 2 full years? And it's just kind of like, don't do what Batman Begins did. Like I don't know, show them taking karate or something like they would in the show. Like show something, give the audience something that's like the show, other than the music. Like give us like you got to give us something, and don't make it all like twisted dark, and then try to bring it back with some cool music. And come on, like you know, and yeah, if they were using my ideas or whatever, I noticed it. I did, but at the same time, they didn't use my ideas. Like, it's like build-ups and stuff. It's not really a huge deal. Um, was the actual Jamie in the film? The black girl could be. Um, Pattinson kind of looked like Stanley a few times. So I'm like, did they EA somehow like, do some sort of mixture thing? That's all up for debate, but it was just what it was. I think that they try to portray people that are kind of, on the field or being persecuted or were supposed to be on the field or something. That's just what they do. Um, so and then the thing at the end, the flood, I was just kind of like, this is a little bit stupid. This flood thing, like how you just threw it in at the end, and he jumps in the water, like kind of falls in, and then it's like shallow. And I end up thinking, why did he just jump in the water? Like it was like the coach said, get in the water, and he just jumped in. Like it was cool, but it was a little bit weird, and everything was very like montage for like a patriotic sense. To bring all that back at the end, like, hey, we just showed you this very twisted film that's like a little bit demonic but had some good music and a little bit of action. And now at the very end, we're going to show you some patriotic scenes to get you ready for the next 911 or whatever happens. Thanks, come again. That's kind of how I felt. I felt like they slapped me silly a few times. Like they kind of slapped me silly and thought I wouldn't notice. Um, so, it's all right. Uh, that kind of is the tone of America right now, though. We're at the tipping point of being very demonic. So we need the age of grace and mercy to be reined in. We can't have this just total Babylon system like running everything without Jesus like on the scene. That's when like bad things do happen, and it's been happening in the news, like build-ups of it. When Biden first got into office, remember how many shootings there were? There were a lot, and still are. But they've gone down a little bit, but still, people were cooped up from the COVID, and now it's not COVID, it's Russia, but I'll get on there right now and check what Russia's doing, man, with Ukraine and everything. But if that doesn't escalate into World War III, then we need the age of grace and mercy to bring everyone back to Jesus. My mom always says the old legend is that there's a great awakening before, you know, um, the man of sin and all that, like before the final part of the Bible revealing. And, we've kind of already had the falling away, basically. So if that legend is true, then we would now need the great revival before the nukes do happen. Or if it's, the whale comes down to earth and, crouches down at a parking lot, and everyone goes into the whale and there's a wedding feast. That's cool too, um, or at some big football stadium or something, I just kind of however you want to look at it. I'm kind of joking, but um, yeah, so we'll see what happens. But like there are these demons out there, and I think that God will judge accordingly. You know, the day of the Lord is a fiery day. It's like fire and brimstone kind of thing. It's not really like, okay, you know, we just start the wedding feast and then, you know, judge and reign on the earth. I think it's like a step process of like, this has to be done. And like, there's nothing we can do to stop it. Even if everything were complete and we had already done the Great Tribulation, I think it would still happen. That's just my opinion, because there would need to be a shift to then go to the wedding feast. Like, earth would have to be cleaned up and remolded to whatever God wants it to be. And if that takes a nuke or something greater than a nuke or an earthquake, that's what I think it'll be. That's just my opinion. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.